It's 6 years since, in a result that surprised most people, the United Kingdom voted by a very narrow margin to leave the European Union. The campaign was marked by some hugely controversial claims, which have resonated ever since, the hundreds of millions we'd be able to pump into the NHS among them. It's still too early to work out the exact pluses and minuses of Brexit, but the lines are becoming clearer. I asked Mark Easton, the BBC's home editor, for his views. Has Brexit been a boon or a disaster?
It is a sort of fundamental difference of view, which actually goes to people's heart, actually. It's almost a sort of visceral feeling, I think. People feel very, very strongly about it on both sides of the argument. And that, I think, has been quite troubling. There's a sense in which we've not really been able to have sort of normal times to get stuff done. So I think that's been another problem with the whole Brexit debate. It's warped our politics and made it very difficult for our political leaders to really, sort of plough a furrow as they want to do. For many communities where we saw very significant Brexit votes, it was about connection to power. It was a sense that they'd been ignored. Many communities that I went to, it was as they felt that change was happening to their communities. Demographic change, free movement within the EU, immigration generally meant that the communities they lived in were changing, the shops were changing.
Also hearing people talking Polish or Romanian
Exactly.
and so on in the streets.
Particularly, people would say that the thought of hearing a foreign language on the bus was disconcerting to them. It was different, and it wasn't what they expected, and no one had asked them about it. I think it would be fair to say that very few of those communities feel that they are any closer to power today than they were 6 years ago.
So it hasn't achieved
Not yet,
that.
No. I mean, I guess that the government would argue that, their whole levelling up agenda is partly about that, is trying to reconnect communities that felt separate. I think that is definitely job not yet done, but really, really important. Whether you voted Leave or Remain, actually, that Britain does better in making sure that thousands of communities up and down this land don't feel, as they currently do, that they are exempted from the decisions that actually affect their daily lives.
Have there been any successes for Brexit?
Undoubtedly free movement and the end of that. I think you can say, well, yeah, that's something. Those people who wanted that to stop, it's happened. It was a promise made and a promise kept. They were also told that we would move to a points-based immigration system to ensure that we only get the migrants that we want and we need. And yes, we do have.
Is that happening?
That has happened.
And is it working?
Well, I think it's difficult because we do have shortages of labour in quite a number of areas as we transition from what people would have said was our sort of we become rather reliant on European workers and being able to turn on the immigration tap.
Will Brexit destroy the United Kingdom?
Well, it certainly put the Union under very considerable strain. But what's interesting is that I think there is a pressure for more devolution, because I think there is a sense in which part of what Brexit was about was reconnecting people, and they need power for that to happen. But what we've seen so far is not that. What we've seen, and perhaps as a result of COVID, we've seen actually more power heading towards Number 10 and to Whitehall.
Do you think at some stage there'll be another vote and we'll go back in?
I don't think that's going to happen for a very significant time. But it's interesting, I think, some of the economic realities which are coming into play and are going to become even more so if the forecasts for the UK economy prove to be correct, where people are going to say, well, hold on, are we really cutting off our nose to spite our face? And we need to have some kind of sensible arrangement with our nearest trading partners to make sure that we don't miss out on all those trading opportunities, making it more difficult for people to trade with countries just over the channel is not very sensible when your economy is facing so many other huge challenges.